Good morning. Good morning. Well, it's not morning. It's afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Want to join you again for another episode of the Freedom Nation for Beginners. And, of course, my name is Faruq Hunter. I'm one of the founders of Freedom Nation. And today we have a really interesting topic. We're going to wait for some people to get on. Once again, first of all, like I said, I'm coming in. Hey, Bertola. Good morning. Good afternoon. Well, good evening where you are, my friend. Will, good morning, good afternoon, I should say. Let me go ahead and start sharing this. If you guys can do me a favor, share this into your favorite groups. Share this out there. It saves me from having to do it when we start. We have a very interesting topic. Bertola, you might be familiar with this. It's a test called the Marshmallow Test, and we're going to talk this morning about self-control. That is the topic for this morning. For this afternoon. I'm so used to doing this in the morning. So we're going to try out something new. We're going to try to have this conversation in the middle of a day on a Saturday. And let's see what that gets us as far as people who want to collaborate and talk. Of course, the purpose of this is to reach out and collaborate with people on the topics that most impact us, that are either keeping us or making us successful, pushing forward in our life. And success in the terms of Freedom Nation is having healthy control over your life and being able to do the things that you want to do without being inhibited by others, whereas failure is anything else. So let me go ahead and share over here into my own profile. Give me 1 second while I do that. On my timeline. Right. Let's go ahead and add that in there. There it goes. Post. All right. And here we go. Let's make this also live in 1 or 2 more other places. And you guys can help me share this around so we can have a great conversation, because I want to have a great conversation. That's what it's all about. It's nothing like being able to talk to several of your friends at once about topics that are important. And let's see. Okay, and let's do one more. I'm just sharing around now, y'all, so you be patient with me for a second. If you share, it helps me. Mona Johnson, hello. How you doing, Mona? I'm just going to get 1 or 2 more shares in here real quick. Put this into a couple of places where I know people who like to actually hear. If you want to share it out there, let's get started. This one you're going to like. We're going to talk about self-control. I'm going to tell you about something that happened to me just recently with my own children, and some things that I have been really thinking about and looking into, because I have multiple sets of children, and there are some things I have been looking into on how to raise them to be excellent, to be people of excellence, to be invaluable people to the world. And there's some discoveries that I've recently made that I don't think that I should just only share, but I would like to even have a conversation about. So I'm going to, like I said, in order to get this conversation out as much as possible, as I really love that. Let's see. Let's look for 1 or 2 more places. Okay, let's. I think we're here. Yeah. Okay, let's try that. Okay, and we're going to stop right there. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys do any other sharing that does, and then we're going to jump on into the topic. I am good. Share to Akoina and my page. Okay. Anybody else coming on, feel free. Please share this and get it out there, because the more people we have, then the more of a conversation we have. There's no benefit here whatsoever except for just to have a really good conversation about the things and the ways that we can improve our lives and that we can take control over our lives. Remember, Freedom Nation for Beginners is all about identifying ways to be free. And these are things that we can do in our life. Today we're going to talk about something really serious. We're talking about self-control. Now, it seems simple, right? So the topic up there at the top says, why we fail so much to take control over our lives. And it would seem simple enough to say that self-control is the reason why. But I'm going to go a lot deeper today. I was gifted. I was in the middle. Let me give you the story. So this is what happened. Good morning, Philip Mitchell. Also, Nika. Good afternoon. How are you? So I'll explain to you kind of what happened today to me. And it was pretty impactful. I was, I have 9 children. And amongst my 9 children, I am always worried as to whether or not they'll be great or not. There goes my brother Mukhtar Jugga joining. Mukhtar, you must have made it to Orlando already. Good to see you, man. So that's my bro. This is, but I'm with my children, and I've made a commitment in my life to be an invaluable person, and then B, to help my people. It's everybody who feels like they're people who share my similarities, to be invaluable people. Because I believe that if you're an invaluable person, then you're somebody, A, who no one wants to get rid of, and B, you're someone who then secures your ability to do things that make you great. And that is the purpose of being invaluable, is to be someone that other people want around. Now, in the midst of being an invaluable person, I know that excellence is a necessity. So hear what I'm saying. Excellence is a necessity to being invaluable. If you want for people to stop doing the worst to you, let's be straight about our problems. We're having some real serious problems at a set of people. Now, this time I'm talking specifically about melanated individuals. That's black folks. Okay? That we have some serious problems when it comes to living in societies where people don't necessarily consider us a part of the mainstream, that we don't have similar opportunities as others. And on top of all of that, we also suffer deeply from people who are actually doing physical actions against us and discriminating in us in several different ways. And you can have a lot of talks and a lot of marches to solve the problem. Here at Freedom Nation, we've decided to build our own city. We didn't see Wakanda and decided. We thought it would be great. And then we saw Wakanda and everybody else thought it would be great. So we're actually physically building a new city. We are engaged in that. We are still the largest producers of brick amongst African Americans in the country. We are the only African American brick makers and have our own lumber yards and have people dedicated to working full time in Freedom Village towards our collective goals of taking control over our lives by building our entire society from scratch. Now, self-control, like I said, it might seem simple enough. I tell you, take control of your life. You say, oh, I have some self-control. But I want to share something with you a little bit more impactful. I want to go deeper with the topic. It seems like something silly, but I'm going to introduce you to this guy called Walter Mitchell. That's his name, Walter Mitchell. Okay, let me cue Walter up so you can meet him. All right. This is Walter Mitchell. And I'm not going to explain what Walter does. I'm going to let him explain. And while he explains, then I'll do some sharing and stuff like that as well.
5 or 50 years now.
Sorry, let's take him back just a teeny bit so he can explain himself.
Professor at Columbia University. What I have been studying for about 45 or 50 years now is how children develop self-control and what the implications of self-control are for their lives as they grow up. Self-control, which used to be called willpower, is obviously terribly important. It's been an issue for us ever since Adam and Eve lost paradise because they couldn't resist the temptation of the serpent and the apple. What I developed when I started studying the problem of self-control is a measure that's now called the Marshmallow Test. Actually, we very often use things that aren't marshmallows. They can be M&Ms, they can be Oreo cookies. It's whatever the child picks from a set of assorted goodies that we have available for her or for him. And what we find is that when the children are given a choice between having two of their very, very favorite things, like 2 Oreo cookies or 2 marshmallows, that they can have if they wait by themselves until the researcher comes back to the room, which can be as long as 20 minutes. If they do that, they get the 2 things that they've been waiting for. But if they want to, at any time, they can ring the bell or start eating one of those cookies or whatever it is that they're waiting for, and then they don't get the 2 preferred objects. And what we found in many studies is that the choices they make have very serious connections to how their lives work out, in the sense that kids who are able to self-regulate, to delay gratification, by the time they're 4 or 5 or 6 years old, have a much better chance of doing well at school, have a much better chance of thriving as adolescents and moving on in life. But that's only the start of the story, because far more important is the discovery that we made, which is that willpower and self-control are cognitive skills which we've been able to identify, which are quite easily teachable, not only to children, but to adults. And the reason that I've written a popular book on this subject is because I think there are very simple strategies that are available to all of us that can enhance our ability to regulate our emotions, to regulate our temptations, and to allow us to take future consequences into account. The implications of this are particularly important for education. And one of the places in which I've been very happy to see the use of the methods and ideas that come out of the work on self-control are in the KIPP schools, Knowledge is Power programs, that are all over the United States now, that have been developed by people to really help kids who are living under conditions of high stress and in high poverty, toxic poverty environments, to have a better chance to make the most of their lives. To see kids learning these self-control skills in these schools has been a wonderful experience for me. And I think that there are lessons to be learned by teachers throughout the world for how to help young children, particularly who are living particularly under conditions of high poverty and high stress, to develop the trust expectations and the cognitive skills that they need to become more oriented to the future and to be able to make choices that allow them to make the most of their lives.
Wow, the music at the end was a lot. But this is what we're talking about, the Marshmallow Test. And he's talking about the ability to have self-control. Now, let's go a little deeper. I want you to actually understand and see what the Marshmallow Test is, because it's one thing to say something, it's another thing to have an actual visual. So let's take a look at it. Marshmallow.
Okay, sit in that chair. All right, here's the deal. Marshmallow for you. You can either wait, and I'll give you another one if you wait, or you can eat it now. When I come back, I'll give you another one, so then you'll have 2. But stay in here and stay in the chair till I come back, okay? All right.
Everybody know what that marshmallow looks like. Think about what the marshmallow is in your life. Think about that for a minute. It's the for the kid, they're given the goodie, and when they have the goodie, and in terms of the professor, they have that goodie that they want. It's in front of them,
and then I'll come back.
It smells yummy.
It's directly in front of them. It's available. It's there. And the reality is, they know that they can do better, but they got this marshmallow in front of them, and the waiting, the temptation, the desire, being able to see something, feel it, touch it right in front of your face, that becomes the thing that is the hard work. So think of this as the semblance of hard work, what these kids are going through now. Think of this as the discipline required to do hard work. Think about that little piece that she just ate, that little cheating that she just did.
All right, so it's up to you.
Think about that as like cheating on the hard work.
I'll be back. Stay in the chair. Okay?
Understand? The rest of this, think of it as tools. They're things that the kids are enacting. tools that they're enacting to help them wait to get to what's better. Entertaining themselves, so forth and so on. Tempting themselves. Being able to touch it, feel it. All that good stuff. All right, so that's what happens. What I want you to see is I want you to see the break, right? Because in the break, we'll see the majority. And I'm going to tell you that our conversation, look at it, the little taste. She ate half of it, so I'm going to put it back, see if I can still get what I want. I'm going to take a little, see if I can still get what I want. Him is killing him. It's killing him. Delaying gratification is hell. This kid, he's got to taste it.
So I'm going to leave, and then I'll come back, okay?
Now watch this girl right
now, or
here.
you can wait.
Watch
Either
this
way,
young
okay?
lady right here. Watch her. Didn't even listen to the lady. All she knows is I have it in front of me. I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat it. How many little people?
How'd you do?
Now watch this wonderful young man.
Did you do good? You did? Yeah. You wanted to eat it, didn't you? Yeah. So did I tell you to give you another one? Okay, now you can have both.
Watch how he consumes them both together. It's awesome. Yummy. All right. Now watch this young lady. Stop right there. Take a look at this little girl. Now I want you to compare this in your life. Both my sons go to KIPP schools. Yeah, it says, Nikai, Kasha J, morning. Please, y'all do me a favor. Share this out as much as possible. We're about to get deep into this conversation. I want you to stop on this little girl right here. Now let me give you the semblance. You ready? This is the semblance of this little girl. She's there. Come on now. I'm going to put this in some terms so y'all can visualize it. Somebody who you don't know, don't necessarily trust. You ain't never seen them give you 2 marshmallows in your life. They've never produced 2 marshmallows for you. It's telling you, or telling somebody, let's not use that, telling somebody, hey, I'm going to give you 2 marshmallows if you wait till I come back. Here's one right now. If you don't eat it, I'll give it to you. Now, while she's talking, the little girl in this video is eating the marshmallow while the lady is talking. She literally is ignoring her. All she's dealing with is, it's right here in front of me right now. You're telling me to wait, but I see it right now. Why should I wait for something that is sitting right in front of me? Why should I have this delayed gratification? Because I need to trust that I can get 2 from you when I have 1? We all know the old saying, a bird in the hand is better than 2 in the bush. We know that, right? I had one gentleman tell me, one from Nigeria, he said, the devil you know is better than the one you don't. Where do these sayings come from? This young lady, she's embedded in it. And here goes the conversation. Hey, listen, I tried this test with my own kids, by the way. I tried it with money. I gave them $2 and I said, listen, I have this money for you. And if you take it right now, you can have it. It's yours. But if you wait till next week and some things go well for me, I should have enough to give you $5 sometime next week. So I changed the dynamics. In this situation, they know that they're going to wait a certain amount of time. It's very clear what they're going to get. And on top of it being very clear what they're going to get, they know for surety that the 1 marshmallow came from this person, the second marshmallow will. My children, I decided to change up the dichotomy and say, no, look, you take the $2, and I don't know when, but sometime in the future, I'm going to give you $5. So I made an unclear distance to the goal. Most of us can achieve a race or a hardship as long as we know exactly how long we have to go through that hardship. But instead, I said, no, we're going to make an unclear distance to the goal. And with that unclear distance to the goal, that creates uncertainty in the individual. And then I told my daughter, but I will give it to you. So she had to embody some level of personal trust. Now, somewhere in there, my daughter, she's the kind of person who knows that she's not just trusting me, she's trusting herself to constantly remind me about my promise. And I have one daughter who said, Daddy, I'll wait. Give me $5 when you got the time. The other daughter reached in my hand and snatched that $2 right away. Yet I have another daughter who went through the Go Girl concept. You telling me about what I'm going to have tomorrow? Right. I got it right here. And I just take it right. That's what they went through. Right? Come on, y'all talk to me. Let's talk about this. Anna, assalamu alaikum. How you doing? We talking about self-control today. Now, I haven't even got to the meat of this. I haven't even explained to you. The doctor explained somewhat exactly the value of self-control. But I want to show you some of his findings before we jump any deeper. Let's look at this. This is from tracking the individuals from the Marshmallow Test over the last 40 years. That means that when the individuals would have stepped into his office, they would have been around 4, 5, 6 years old. And then later, he would have tracked their progress over time. Now, one is criminal record. The red are those who chose those who chose the 2 marshmallows and waited. The blue are those who suck instant gratification. This is factual. This is not a guess. This man has a extensive set of people to run these tests against. 3 times more likely to have a criminal record if you don't have self-control, if you haven't taught yourself to delay gratification. Twice as likely to raise children in a single-parent household. Think about how that impacts your marriage when you don't know how to have self-discipline, self-control, and delayed gratification. Poorer. 3 times more likely, 3.2 times more likely to have an income under $20,000, to be essentially down towards the poverty line. Think about that for a minute. This is real stuff. And remember, when they tested these kids, they tested them as children. That means that these habits that they had for trying to get instant gratification started when they were little kids. And then it expanded as adults. This is a serious conversation. And if you don't know exactly what this means with nation building, even health problems and dependency on drugs, 3 times, 2 times and a half more likely to have these problems because of a lack of self-control. How does that play in the nation building? How does that play in the building your space, your kingdom, the place where you can call home and take control of your life? How does that play into freedom? Well, we know that freedom is absolutely not. Freedom is not taking things from other people in order to live your life. We live in a world of glitter. Now, if you're joining me from Nigeria, which some of you are, or other countries, then it's a little different. I'm going to tell you something. You live in Lagos for a little while. Ain't nobody handing you nothing. You're fighting for everything. But if you live in the United States, how mad you get if you go to the store and they don't have eggs? You go complain. Y'all don't have no eggs back here. How bad are you if you go down to Kentucky Fried Chicken, God forgive, and you eat chicken and they ain't got no more wings and breasts? You're pissed off. How mad are you if you go to the gas station and they have no gas for your car? Now, let's stop right there. You neither, most likely, almost everybody who will listen and hear my voice in this cast, there are probably less than 1% of 1% that has ever killed your own chicken. There are even less, if almost none, who have ever refined crude oil or went through the process to work on a mine to dig it up so that you know how to make gasoline. Most of y'all, 9 times out of 10, way more than 9 times out of 10, 9.9999999 times out of 10, you have never processed any ethanol and used it in your house. So why? Is it because it's more effective to go get a job, work for money, and go to the gas station? Because it's more effective? Because you get more gas? Is it because you get more chicken if you don't slaughter them yourself? No. Hell no. That's not more effective. Do you know how much a baby chick costs? A baby chick you can buy for just about 20 cents. When's the last time you bought a whole, nice, beautiful, farm-raised, free-range chicken for 20 cents? But that's how much a baby chick costs. But you got to wait. And chickens don't even take that long. 6 months, you got a full-grown chicken. But how many of you right now have chickens in your backyard? I got chickens in my backyard. I'll tell you that for a fact. How many of you have chickens in your backyard? How many of you taking the time? I know even if you love chicken, if you like some yassa or some fried chicken or whatever, and CL Teller, let me tell you, no, it is not lack of resources. We're not buying that crap. No. Here we work under one pretense. Let me listen to you. You hear it? This is the pretense we work on. That's our pretense. We have the power. We don't lack any resources. What we lack is self-control and self-discipline. And stop talking about the government and stuff like that. You find at least one friend's house where you can put a little chicken coop, raise chicken. Those are excuses for being weak. Now, I'm not offending anybody. I'm just telling you for a fact what it is. I'm talking to y'all like my brothers and my sisters, not like my enemies, and that means that we have to be honest with one another. And being honest with one another, we don't allow each other to have those silly excuses that keep us back. Now, knowledge is a resource. Now, CLTL, I agree with you on that one. But it doesn't take much. Even if I tell you right now that you can take and go get about 25 chickens, 20 chickens, 25 chickens for $5. If I told you right now there was a sale at KFC and you get 25 buckets of chicken for $5, after you stop asking me what went me wrong with the chicken, you go get some. If I told you it was free range from a farm nearby, you go get it. But if I told you that buying 25 chicks for $5, and where you could do it at, very few of you would get up and actually go get those chickens. It's not cheaper. It's not cheaper to do it the way you're doing it. It's not more effective to do it the way you're doing it. Because I didn't even just tell you, you got 20 chickens in the backyard. You're going to have loads of eggs. You're going to make cake and pudding and pie, lemon meringue. You're going to make banana pudding, everything. Then you're going to have some chicken dinner at the end. From the best chicken you can imagine. It's delayed gratification that's screwing you up. It's delayed gratification. You want it now. You can't wait 6 months. I'm hungry for chicken now. You can't plan ahead for 6 months and be consistent. And this is where all of this information, now I'm going to put the slide back up again so you can see it. Let's look at it one more time. Those who do not have the ability to delay gratification by having an extreme amount of self-control are 3 times more likely to be criminals, are 2 times more likely to be single, are 3 times more likely to be poor, are 3 times more likely to be dependent on some type of drug. This is why I got a problem with weed, dude, because I got power over me. I don't have to smoke no damn marijuana. Excuse my French. I don't have to smoke marijuana to get my high. I woke up this morning with one knowing that I was me. That was high enough. And that I was empowered by the Lord one more day to get things done. You got a problem with me talking about God. I'm not apologizing for that. Multiple health problems. Think about this for a minute. Now I want to share something else with you. Let's go a little bit deeper, because one of the things that the professor talks about more is about two things I think that we should watch together and share together. He talks about not just self-control and discipline, but how you actually tool yourself with the ability to have self-control and discipline. And he talks about something that I think is huge. And anybody who's having a conversation about solutions to get out of situations of poverty, you need to think about this. But before I play it, let me go. Kasha, I always say we can produce more abundance than we can ever buy. Kasha, I swear to God, that's the truth, man. But so many of us, we just don't have the ability. And as much as we lie, I said it, we lie. We sit down and we say, oh, that brother this, or this brother that, or I don't know about them people over there. The truth is, you don't have the patience to delay gratification. You know that you can build your own house. I'm not telling you anything amazing. You watch people out there all the day long. No way you ride by people who are doing construction work and tell yourself you're incapable of doing the work. You're totally capable. You know you have the arms, the muscle. A lot of y'all folks, man, y'all working out. Y'all look great. Some of you need to check your health. But the truth is, you never go through this and feel like you can't do. You feel like you can't do without. You feel like you can't take a second to get away from that house, to get away from that car. You know that I got to pay my car note. I got to pay my electricity bill. I got to pay this. I got to put my kids here. I got to do it. That's what's stopping you from building up your future. That's what's keeping you from doing anything amazing. That's why you cannot focus on building the future that will really fix the problems that we are having as a people. That's why the underserved remain underserved, because they refuse to create the environments that will serve them. Period. I'm not just talking from behind here. I'm talking about, I can tell you, I'm just talking Freedom Nation. This is our experience. This is the experience I've seen of other people. And this is the experience of the world when it comes to studies that have been made on the topic. Let me share this one more piece with you. I want to toss this in. This is a Q&A done with Dr. Marshall. All right, let's go into it. And it's a Q&A. The points he makes are beautiful. You know, I'm going to do some typing while he's talking, but it's not long. It's like 2-3 minutes, and I'm telling you, it's worth seeing.
Can you tell us how is it that children learn strategies? Because in the film, you know, one kid turned away, one had an imaginary conversation, and presumably no one had said to them, here's a what-if strategy to cope. I mean, how is it that they learn these strategies, and why do some kids learn them much better than others?
Yeah, I think some people are better learners of strategies than others. I mean, I'm not suggesting for a moment that there aren't major individual differences in how easily these strategies are learned and become part of life. Some children don't need any help with it at all. That is, they're picking it up. All children develop an intuitive understanding also of what the rules are that make it possible to delay gratification more. For example, if we ask 4-year-olds, will it be easier to wait for this if you can see it, or if we put a cover over it? And they know that it's there even when it's covered. They have object constancy. The 4-year-old may say, it'll be much easier for me if you leave it uncovered. And then you leave it uncovered, and he rings the bell in 2 seconds. That is, they've got the rule absolutely wrong. By the time they're 5, most children know it's better if it's covered. So, but the relationship between knowledge and action is, again, very complicated. In one study, for example, we asked if you can have a...
All right, wait. I don't want this to slip you. I want you to take time to understand exactly what he's about to talk about. He's talking about the relationship between knowledge and action. Now, this CL, I'm going to tell you right now, this is where we're having the problem. Knowledge is a problem. The knowledge is a problem. Now, let me give some hellos to, because there's my baby, Malaha. That's one of my nieces. Love you, sweetheart. Tyrone just joined. How you doing, brother? Sean just joined. Sean Sorsby. Kamal Ayubi and Anas. I didn't give you hellos. You got them now, though. So I want just a quick pause before he goes into this. He's talking about a scientifically proven understanding that there is a sincere gap between knowing and doing. That there is a sincere gap between knowing and doing. And this is the cornerstone message you should embrace from this single little Facebook Live that we're doing right now. That there is a real gap between knowing and doing. We always tend to think that knowledge and exposure is the problem, but it's deeper than that. Let's let the doctor explain it. Let's go into it. I'm going to time it back just a little bit so we can hear that single point.
example, we asked, if you can have a little chocolate now or a bigger one later, what would an intelligent child do? And the child says, an intelligent
Let's
child.
go back more.
So, but the relationship between knowledge and
we
action
go.
is, again, very complicated. In one study, for example, we asked, if you can have a little chocolate now or a bigger one later, what would an intelligent child do? And the child says, an intelligent child would wait. And then you ask the child, and what would you do? Do you want this one? I'll take it now. So the point I'm making is that the relationship between understanding and knowledge and action is far from close. Yes.
So listen to me. Yo, let me tell you, we deal with this every day. Does anybody need to play that back? I want to make sure that you absorb that completely. Sean, I want you to hold on to that, please. The idea of poverty, creating a lack of self-control. We're going to cover that. That's going to be the last part of this whole thing. I'm going to show you some grasp information, and we're going to deal with what I call the poverty self-control conundrum. It's something very serious that you should take with you. But in this case, think about this. Knowing something does not stop you from doing something that's not good. When you know something, it doesn't stop you from doing the things that are not good. There's a word that we use amongst, different languages. There's different languages for this. One word is called kafir, and if you've ever heard this word kafir before, you might think it to be offensive because you think that that's people who have a certain way of life saying about the people who don't. The word actually means to cover up. It means to cover up. It refers to individuals who know the truth of something, but they choose to cover it up and suppress it. This is what happens to us. And let me tell you the scenario where this plays out, like literally almost every day. Almost everyone who will come to me after one of these shows or anything, this is how they're going to come. Brother, I would love to be involved. How do I get involved with the Freedom Nation? How do I build my own house? How do I become part of a community of doers? How do I set myself in a situation where we are in control of the police station, where we elect our own officials, where we have the power to be free for real? This is how it goes. And then I explain to them how. And they tell me how excited they are. And they tell me exactly what they can do. They understand. There's an amount of work done. And then I say, well, come and sign up for our boot camp. If you sign up for our boot camp, it's a proving ground for you and for us to figure out if there's something you really want to do. And along that couple of seconds of conversation, they do exactly what the doctor said. Well, what would the intelligent person do? Well, what are you going to do? And the answer is almost always, I'm talking about 99.9% of the time, because we have a 0.01% success rate in marketing to people on Facebook and getting them to actually commit to come out and do things to change their life. You talk about Wakanda. Here we are building the real Wakanda, and I'm telling you that our success rate to pull people in is 0.01%. It's 0.001%. It is 1% of 1%. Because the answer of most people will be, I got something I need to do, or I'm not ready for that yet, or I need time. And what are they talking about? They're not talking about the fact that they don't believe in it. That's not what they're saying. I'll be honest with you. This problem goes deep. I've raised children in this house right here. And then I'm going to explain to you what I mean by that. We're going to talk about the poverty conundrum when it comes to self-control. Had one of my own children tell me, I believe in this idea. I believe that you will achieve everything that you said you will, Father, with all respect. But I don't see why I have to wait. I don't see why I can't get it now. I told her I was disappointed in her. I told her that she didn't necessarily break my heart, because kids are kids. They are who they are. They become adults. But what I told her, I said, you disappointed me. Because I had made you out to be a highly intelligent individual, with the ability to act off that intelligence. But I see now that you are succumbing to your ignorance, and that is the need for instant gratification. That is something that we do because we are weak. It's weakness that forces us to gratify our needs immediately. It's weakness. It is. And you know, no one wants to admit this is harsh words to say, and folks don't want to say it. I know I'm not getting no little heartsy likeys pop up on the backside of saying this. But I'm not feeling bad about that because it's the truth. How many of you all will actually take time to say, man, I appreciate somebody telling me the truth? Or will you turn around and make excuses? That brother out of his mind, telling all this stuff, he's offensive. I don't like him. Don't like the way he talks. Don't like the things he says. But it's the truth. My brothers and my sisters, we are suffering because we are weak. You don't like that, I know. I know. But let's talk real. Our boot camps, freedom builders, our method, everything we do is based on strength. I had one young lady said, Faruq Hunter comes off like a boss. You consider a boss someone insisting that you do your best? Well, then, my sister, go and free yourself from bosses and go do your worst, if that's what pleases you. But just don't do it anywhere in my vicinity. Anywhere. I don't think that it's a bad thing for us to make statements like, I am sick and tired of being around people who are less than excellent. And I only want to be around excellent people. I will tell you right now, Freedom Nation, why did Freedom Village go to invite only? Because we only want to invite people who have shown excellence in their life. That's how you get an invitation to Freedom Village from now on. You do something excellent, we'll seek you out. Quick example before we go. Brother named Ken Hunt. Ken Hunt. Don't forget his name. Ken Hunt. He called me up with another brother. Another brother made the introduction. And he starts talking about gasification and talking about energy and all of that kind of stuff. And as he's talking about gasification and energy and doing these types of things, as a matter of fact, let me see if I can grab what we did, because just in case you didn't see it, I want to make sure you see it. Let me tell you that he called me on one day. He called me. And as soon as he called me on this one day, he goes in. Brother, we got to have energy, blah, blah, blah. We got to do this and that, blah, 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 blah. I said, stop talking. I don't mean to be rude, but it's really stop talking. All I want to know is, do you have the ability to do what you're saying? Or are you just telling me about an idea? He says, no, I'm burning wood and making gas today. He said, I'm going to do a burn later on today. I said, oh, well, that's great. I said, you don't need to talk anymore. Just come over to Freedom Labs. That's what we built it for. And come and do something. He says, okay, I'm going to come by. That's what happened. Here, let's play it. I got it. I found it. Okay? I'm going to pull this up real quick. I just want to share with you, just in case, for some reason, if you didn't see the piece with Ken, I'm going to share it. So I'm here at Freedom Lab. Stop. Check it out. This was the exact day, one single day after we talked on the phone 18 hours before, this man was at Freedom Labs in our carport burning off wood and making gas. He wasn't talking. He was doing. His gap between knowledge and doing was obliterated. Even when he came to the house, he started talking, and I immediately just said, hey, can we burn? Let's burn some stuff. I want to burn some stuff. Let's get this done. That's what I said to him. I said, let's burn some stuff. And we did it. Oh, yeah, you best believe Ken got an invitation to Freedom Village immediately. We said, that's the kind of people we need around. These are doers. And us, we are people that have started to not do. I just told all y'all it made more sense to buy chickens. How many of you going to get up today and go spend $5 lousy on some chickens? $5 lousy, and then another $5 on the heating lamp to keep them alive in your backyard, just right on the porch. How many of you going to do it? How many of you going to make excuses why not do it? How many in the next week are going to visit Kentucky Fried Chicken or churches? Or if not one of them nasty places, some little wing spot on the corner somewhere. How many? The gap between knowing and doing is huge. And you should never put doers in the same place as talkers. That's not okay. Doers can talk, but talkers don't always do. And we are not in the same place just because we're talking about the same thing. It's an invitation for doers. Now, let's talk about self-control with our children. Because at the Freedom Nation, we're thinking beyond that. We're thinking, how do we educate and raise children? Now, we understand that some of this is just, it's innate. There's some things in you. You have two people risen up in the same household, come out two different ways. One with self-control and one with lack thereof. I'm not telling you that we should give up on the ones who don't have it, but you should take time to teach them the necessity for self-control. Let's look at another piece. I want to share a couple more things with you really quick. Let's go in. First of all, I wanted to finish. I'm clicking on it right here. I know you don't do it. But I want to finish his Q&A. It's not a lot, but I want to take it in because it's beautiful. The conversation is beautiful. Everything that the doctor's talking about, the power of self-control and the weaknesses of it and how it's caused and the tools is very, very important. Let's take a look.
There are natural differences now. Easily it's acquired, but kids can be taught the skills. For example, in one experiment, we varied what the child saw. They could either see the marshmallows or they could see a picture of the marshmallows. We found that seeing the marshmallows made the bell ringing go very, very fast. Seeing a picture of the marshmallows actually helped them to wait much longer. So the question became, why does a pictorial representation, why does an image of the object of desire help you wait for it, and the real thing doesn't? So what we did in these experiments is we varied both what the child is looking at and what the child is cued before we leave the room to think. We said, you know what a picture is? Yeah, a picture is something with a frame around it. If you want to, when you want to, while you're waiting, you can make believe it isn't really real. It's just a picture. Put a frame around it in your head. The same child that would ring the bell within 30 seconds when it's for real, when he's imagining that it's a picture, even if he's looking at the real thing, can wait a huge amount of time. So what we learned from that, from experiments of that kind, is that it's about how you represent the object of desire. If you focus on its abstract features and think about it in a cool way, it does not have the same impact on you as the other way.
Now, I want you to think about what he's telling you. He's saying that when you can separate yourself, because now we're talking about tools, right? It wouldn't be enough if we just kind of beat up on each other. But when you can separate yourself, you see the things inside your life. So you think about your house, you think about your light bill, you think about all this stuff, and you make it as an abstract, although that's very hard to do. Then it becomes easier to go without it. So it's just a thing, it's an idea. But look at our life. I've constantly said this system, we live in a system. This is a system that we live in. It was developed by human beings. This is a system developed by human beings. In this system that we have, that we live in, everything has been made to be right here. They want you to ride down the street and smell the cooking. Can you smell what's cooking? They want you to smell it. They want you to see it on your television. What you choose to watch is going to determine how powerful it is. They want you to take in all this. And who is they? Those that market it to you. Those that have a desire to trap your energy. Now, you think I'm talking about money. No. Money is a sad thing to talk about. You're silly and small to only talk about money. I know you don't like me saying that, but it's real. Sean says, Got to go, but I would love to visit Freedom Labs next time I'm in Georgia. We'll let you know when I'm there. Sign up for your Freedom Profile if you don't already have one. You have to have Freedom Profile to come to Freedom Labs. But the thing about it is this. This has been made, this system has been built to market you, entice you, and take away your labor, your effort. What is money? Money is just your effort. Money is literally the product that you get back from putting your effort into something. And the society is meant not to take your money. It doesn't care. The society wants to take your effort. Most people that work at a job, the things that they produce are worth 4 to 5 times, at least 3 times more than what they're getting paid to produce it. That's just a basic equation, meaning that labor represents anywhere between 20 to 30% of the cost in order to produce a product. The end cost of the product is 20 to 30%. So that would mean that your ability to do something, for every dollar you're paid, it produces $4 worth of something else. So am I so concerned about your dollar and getting that back, or am I more concerned about the $4 you created? You hear people make these statements about the black dollar is $7 trillion, blah, blah, blah. First of all, let me tell you, there's only $1.7 trillion in circulation. Half of it's traded outside the United States. That means it's less than $1 trillion in the United States. To be roughly accurate, it's $8.5 billion. The cash position of most companies like Google and Apple consume almost half of that cash. Less than half of the cash, less than $400 billion is actually out there. So why in the hell are we saying that the black dollar is $1 trillion? Because it's called the velocity of the money. It's how the money spends. It means that you spend it and it came back, and then you spent it and it came back, and then you spent it and it came back. That adds up to $1 trillion. That's how black people spend $1 trillion. But what's really happening there is that they're buying your effort. They're not taking your money. No one has $1 trillion in the bank somewhere. That's not what's happening. They're building $1 trillion worth of assets off your back. And as a matter of fact, they're building $4 trillion worth of assets off your back. Oh, you don't understand the cycle? The cycle is you go work, and because you can't delay gratification, you go work for that dollar. You produce $4 worth of goods. You sell you a single dollar of the $4 worth of goods in order to get you broke. So you have to go your behind back and repeat. For every time the cycle runs, you only make 1 every 4 that's made. At the end of the day, you've given back the 1 as well back into the cycle. So now you're broke. And what did they take? Your money? No, they took you. They took your energy. They took your muscle. They took your back. They took your mind. They took all that from you. And you gave it up willingly because you needed to have it right away. Attention currency, TY. For these facts, this why the wealth is only at the top 1%. You're right, brother. Gosh, I'm telling you, you got to let them know. The wealth is at the top for a reason. And what wealth are we referring to? Cash? No, cash is only the thing that they hold to then give back to you so that you can cycle it back to them. And every time that cycle completes, like I said, it's not the dollar that they earn. Dollars, 1.7 trillion in existence, period. GDP, $278.4 trillion. That's the product of what the dollars are doing. We don't measure the country's growth based on how much money we print. We measure the country's growth based on the GDP growth, and that's how many things we actually create. And in Freedom Nation, people come in here and we say, hey, listen, let's create some gas. Let's create a home. Let's build some brick. Let's do this. And they say, how am I going to pay for it? I got a wonderful individual who's been part of my board of directors for a long time, and we used to travel around some of the former USSR countries together. And he would tell this story to people who couldn't get what they were being offered. He would say this guy came in, old Russian guy came into the village and says, we're going to build the train. The train's going to come through. It's going to drive through. It's going to take all your goods from one point to the other, make your life easier. And one old man would raise his hand. He said, yes, my friend, that sounds good and well, but where do we put the horses? Being that the horses were used to do what the train used to do, he couldn't get it. Just like a lot of people won't get what I'm saying here. It's not about money. It's about the assets, Costa says, and he's right. They're buying indentured servitude. Costa, I need to put you right here. Right here. You want to jump on the next show? Let's do it together, brother. I'll let you know when we got to do it. Let's do it together. Listen, that's the point. They're buying a ditch of 72, and they're not actually buying it. Because if I made 4, but I only had to give away 1, and you came back and brought something because of your lack of self-discipline, and you gave me the 1 back, no, that's not indentured servitude. That's slavery, my friend. You just work for free. The master gave you food. He just gave you a store credit that spends a little better than everybody else's. He set up more stores instead of the general store. You're a slave. Man, do that. You're a slave. And if you're talking about buying anything with your money besides land, raw material, and the ability to do more for yourself, you remain a slave no matter how much you earn. And all of this stems from one thing: not being able to control yourself, not having self-discipline, not being able to hold back a little longer. That's what it all boils down to. Real simple like that. All right, hold on. Let's jump in real quick. I want to finish this out because I want to share it. We're coming towards the end, and there's just one more piece I want to go over with you.
Published some of your results showing the amazing way that just the results of these experiments could predict the trajectories of the children in life. A lot of people took from that the message that if you can predict something so young, it must be genetic, it must all be there already.
What we're seeing is the manifestation of executive function in an early form. And executive function is an absolutely critical cognitive skill. So some people find it much easier to acquire. Some people find it much harder to acquire. And it also depends for what. That is, you may be very good at waiting for marshmallows, but have other areas in which there are hot spots in which it is not at all easy. So the notion that willpower is a generalized trait that you either have or don't, and that you have in some amount, is, I think, completely contradicted by the kinds of findings that the research that I and others have been doing. Yes, our DNA matters profoundly, but in the field that's now called epigenetic, it's become very clear that the genes that we have in the genome have to get activated or deactivated by what used to be thought of as the junk in the genome, which is actually the switches that turn on or turn off the genes. And those switches are influenced enormously, not only biologically by what we eat and what we smoke and what we drink. They are also influenced by what we think and what we feel and how we deal with stress. So there is a continuous interaction between our biology and our psychology, which has, to me, become one of the most exciting things in recent science, because it means that we are actually able to be agentic, to have a role in influencing how our genome plays out. I mean, there are constraints on it, of course, but when it comes to this kind of self-regulation of emotions and the self-control of temptations and so on, we really are in a position to influence how our lives play out and what we make of our lives.
Now, come on, take that in. I hope you digested every single bit of that. What he's telling you is that in your DNA, your makeup, if you build self-control in there, even the idea of discipline, meaning, and like you said, you can have self-control with a marshmallow, but not self-control maybe like with your sexual desires. You can control yourself with sugar, but you can't control yourself with living in the dark. So he's saying you have these things, and it's not like a peanut butter. It doesn't spread across everything, that you have self-control. You have to train yourself around each one, and that training comes in the form of your diet, comes in the form of what you watch, what you see, what you know, and your perspective. And these things are not just allegorical. They literally switch on and off the things that allow you to be powerful. Oh, are y'all hearing me? Maurice, Shalitha, how you doing? So he's saying that self-control, there's a switch for self-control. And those switches are driven by what you eat. So what happens when you eat bad food? What happens when you eat food whose origin you don't know anything about? Do you think that the things they put in the food are intended to make you turn on the switch that would make you buy less? Hell no. My father used to say this: every product is self-perpetuating. I used to meet some of these guys who use their little rocks for deodorant. And I'd be like, man, well, you using them rocks, you still funky. But I understand what they were after. They were saying deodorant is self-perpetuating. It increases the funk at the same time it's supposed to relieve the funk. So why wouldn't someone put in your products, in your life, in your design, in your education system, everything, something that perpetuates the system that's allowing them to do it? Every system that's a good system that lasts for any period of time is self-perpetuating. And that means that they are literally taking the time, not, I want to hinder you, destroy you, because that sounds really rough, right? Somebody's in a room somewhere, let's get those people, ha, 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 ha. No, well, let's not go there. Let's instead say people are just designing things for their own needs. They're serving their own personal desires. And their personal desires are to propagate the existence of themselves. Maurice Park says inputs are directly related to our outputs. Eric Waziri, what's up, brother? How you doing? So think about this for a minute. The longer you choose to stay in the system you're in, you're like an addict. Not only are you a slave, but you're an addict. And here's the picture for you. We're at an hour, so we're about to wind down. But here's the picture. And let me tell you the picture. I was going to explain this different, but let me just give you some little bit of this, right? Human trafficking is one of the worst things. When I say, how the hell did he jump to human trafficking? Watch. Human trafficking is one of the worst things in the world, but it's a humongous industry. Do you know how you turn out most people where they prostitute themselves multiply, where they go through all this other kind of stuff? 9 times out of 10 use drugs. You get them in there, you dope them up, and you make them dependent on drugs. Now, when they're dependent on drugs, and then you do something else, you break down their basic morality and their sense of understanding who is boss, who's not, right? You try to run, guy beats you, there's all kinds of bad things that happen. That dichotomy of that situation, making you dependent on the drug, keeping you in a euphorian state, gets you to do things that are totally against your own survival. Why aren't you believe that that's what's happening to you right now? Your addiction, if you have one, to sugar. Your addiction, if you're a vegetarian, to having products that are made of, processed products that are made to seem like meat. It doesn't matter. However they hook you. You say, I want to go off grid. I need to get some solar panels. But you don't know how to make no solar panels. That's still an addiction. Your addiction that other folks doing for you is keeping you not just physically in, but is literally affecting your DNA and turning off the things in your system, in your body, that would allow you to break free. The reason it doesn't feel right to go in the woods and start again, even though God has told us clearly he put enough on this earth for us to do with, that we as human beings have the ability to change and affect the situation. If you heard the doctor's first part, he said the idea of self-control, the first test of self-control was given by God to Adam. And Adam failed. So you're walking with this plague on your back. Assalamu alaikum, Eric. I'm sorry if I didn't give you proper salams, brother. Compromises your individual compass that steers you right way. That's Maurice. It does. You got all these things. You physically, mentally are stuck. Now, right before we leave, let's talk about something. So there's a little more extensions to this study. First of all, I want to show you something that I think is pretty cool. It's part of the study that talks about response time. So, of course, what happens is when a person takes the study with the Marshmallow Test, there's a buzzer. The actual test is there's a buzzer. And the person can click a buzzer or they can just eat the marshmallow, right? It's basically them giving up, right? The amount of time that it takes for a person to make a decision to eat the single marshmallow has been tracked over the years. And here's a graph that shows that tracking, right? So in 1967, it was less than 5 minutes when he started the study for people to go ahead and eat the marshmallow. there was still some part of the test group, and you see 3 to 3, that between 1967 and 1970, half of the people tested would wait almost 10 minutes, but the other half would wait less than 5 minutes. And the trend has gone up, that people are waiting longer to eat the marshmallow. Somewhere in 1997, 2000, people waited up to 25 minutes. Those are oddballs in the thing, right? If you look at that time period, there's 3 marks, 2 marks. That means that some 20%, 40% of the people most likely waited. 40% of the people waited that long during that period of time. And then getting in 2017, first of all, you got to know what happened around that 2000 time. That was the millennium. But why is this trending up? Why are people waiting longer? We thought we were having a conversation about people not having lack of self-control. Well, it turns out that the more you have, the more likely you are to wait and delay your gratification. Now, y'all got to catch this one now. This is deep now. You got to, this is a cycle. It's a horrible cycle. And it tends to be what was happening in 1967 was people were a little poorer. And because they were poor, they didn't live as long, their sense of self-gratification was immediate. They needed to get things right away. But listen to what I'm about to tell you. Now, a lot of you will take this and say that what's hindering self-control for black people is that they're poor. They don't know if the bread's going to be there tomorrow. They don't know what's going to be there. And the reason that other people can do it is because they're more well off. And then that's a cycle of makes them more successful than it makes us. If I believe that the studies are true, and they are, I mean, they're founded, right? But here's a trick. You ready for the trick? What do you know about well-to-do people when it comes? Kasha, I'm about to flip it for you. What do you know about well-to-do people whenever they have to go without? When faced with scarcity? We all know this. We all know that a well-to-do person, I'm not going to put a color on it right now, because I've seen it happen on both sides. A person who has, when taken away, he'll damn near kill you for what he wants. So his need for instant gratification increases significantly whenever something is taken away. I notice in my own children as I raise them that they have a more abundance to food than I did when I was growing up. I'm not saying my parents didn't take care. My parents fed me very well. But there was little things you couldn't have, little extras that weren't always there, candies and all that kind of stuff. So whenever we got a chance, we consumed what we could because we were always scared. Even me, I've realized that in my weight, I have to choose self-discipline for my weight. So over the last year, I'm breaking my addiction to food. And I realized that addiction to food is coming from a fear of scarcity. Always believing that we won't have enough and you got to stock up for the bad day. The fact that people who know that food is readily available have more self-control is not self-control. It's delayed gratification, but it's not self-control. It means they have no fear of loss. That's different. It means they have no fear of loss. Think about, listen to what I'm saying. That's challenge to wealthy people's authority. They wait on wealth itself. Think about this. But stop for a second. They have no fear of loss. The more our society creates a situation where our people don't fear losing the basic things, if they say, I act just right, if I can code switch and change my voice, hey, how are you today, Arnold? Doing well. Yes, nice to see you. Instead of using your real voice, which is, yo, what's up, man? How you feeling? And we tell ourselves that these things are improper, that we have to survive, that we change up. And society makes room for us, which is why the concept of integration is so significant to the propagation of the system. The more they make you feel that way, the less likely you are to fear loss. And here's the trick. When you don't fear loss, you don't focus on control. We accept invasive systems in our life as long as we feel like they're effective towards giving us what we want. That's a human dichotomy thing. That's how the brain works. You will accept the system no matter how intrusive, as long as it works to get you what you want. It's a sadness, but it's reality. Think about that. That the idea of integrating you deep into society, showing you successes in society. This is happening in China right now with the Uyghurs and the Urumqi. They feel like integrating them will stop them from fighting back and resisting. Because integration lets you feel like I have a chance in the system. The system works for me. We needed a black president. It was time to let folks know, to give them some hope. When you watch the South Africans down at the parliament saying, listen, you either give us our land back that y'all stole or we going to raise up and we're going to take it from you. America don't want things like that. They don't want a bunch of black people in the street demanding reparations, tearing things apart. Some point, some master plan has got to think that through. But this chart shows you not that people are gaining more self-control, but they're doing a better job at integrating them into the system. That justifies putting crap in your food. That justifies doing all of the things that need to be done in order to control you. And when we use terms like diversity, inclusion, those terms are meant to pull you into a situation where you forget that you're not in control. To get you to accept the system because it works for you. That's our real danger, by the way. That's the scary space. That's the space when you give up on having control. I have met more people recently who have said that they don't really care about legacy, that they don't care about taking control over the situation, that they don't care about having to own it all the time. That comes from this feeling that it works for you. I can't talk against it. All I'm going to tell you, if you want the matrix, and you're in the matrix, you're a part of it. I'm not saying that it doesn't work to a certain extent. I'm not knocking you. I swear to God, I'm not knocking you. But don't go out here telling me you got self-control. No, what you do is you have inclusion. Now, on the other end, let me tell this last story and then I'm done. Now, we just went through Ramadan. And in Ramadan, it has a principle. There's a story around this whole thing, one that most people are unaware of. So it says that when God created man, he also created man's inner desires. That is the desire to have self-gratification, instant gratification. Frank, what's up, man? Now, this desire for instant gratification, he called it the naf. That's what he called it, naf, your inner desires. So he wanted to subdue the naf and control him. So he told him, he said, who's your Lord? The naf said, I'm me and you. So the Lord wasn't happy. He took the naf and he put him in the fire, burned them all up, yanked his butt out, looked at him and said, who's your Lord? He said, I'm me, you. So he stuck him in extreme cold, froze the man out, brought him back, the inner desires of man, and said, who's your Lord? He said, I'm me and me, I'm you. So then he starved him for an extensive amount of time. When he starved him, he brought him back and he said, who's your Lord? He said, you, my Lord. Can you please feed me? There's the other side. Now, this side comes through poverty. This is real self-discipline and control. And if you don't believe me, then that's why. The scale for someone to come from nothing to be a Ted Turner, to go from the railroads to being that wealthy and controlling these other outlets. For someone to come from the nothing space when it comes to resources and reach the space of extreme, that walk, that journey is huge. When someone has wealth already and gains more, that's not a huge journey, it's a short journey. So those who come from rags to riches are stronger by far than those who came from riches to riches. Those who built themselves up from nothing, pulled themselves by their bootstraps, they are especially tuned to do absolutely amazing things. Those are the people who have massive amounts of self-control and discipline, and you can only get that through poverty. You can only get that through not having. You can only get that through releasing yourself from these dependencies and putting yourself in a circumstance where you have no one to depend on but yourself, and you build it up. Now I'm not talking about, I got my own job. I'm not talking about that crap, because you ain't depending on yourself. You depend on the person who pays your paycheck. But when you actually go out, and let me not be metaphorical, you go in the woods, you buy a piece of land, and you build that thing up for yourself into a utopia. That kind of strength creates the ultimate level of self-control and self-discipline. To hold back gratification until you're sitting in front of your own fireplace that you built, in your own chair that you built, eating your own food, so that you can live a long, blessed life and be away from the system, that level of self-discipline comes from removing things. That's how you break the trend. Getting more abundance does not break the trend. These folks preaching abundance to you are full of crap. Abundance only makes you feel like it takes away the fear of loss. It does not give you self-control. It does not make you an excellent and valuable individual. So we've talked for 1 minute and 16 seconds right now. And I'm at my end. One little bit more numbers to share with you about the power of self-control. Look over here. This is just a little bit of it. This is the adult health index in the top left corner. The people who at the bottom of the list, the ones the lowest amount of health problems, are the ones who chose who chose the 2 marshmallows, the ones who have self-control. Over here underneath, right of it, is offspring. Basically, raising children in your own home, being divorced a lot. Adult criminal conviction. Once again, less than 12% for those with self-control, over 40% with those who lack self-control. I'm telling you right now, if you are hindering yourself from making decisions that will make you awesome, amazing, because you don't like going without, tackle that beast. And don't just tackle it in yourself, tackle it in your children. Go home right now, go today, do this simple little test. Like I said, take $2, take a marshmallow, do whatever you got to do, and run the test on your kids. See if they have the power innately for delayed gratification. It will tell you a lot about what you need to do in order to build them individuals that will have a powerful future and be in control over their lives. And don't forget, run the test on your spouse. Run it on your brother or sister. Think about it yourself. And I say to think about it yourself because sometimes we lie to ourselves too much. But ask yourself, are you willing to come and join? I have to remind you, this is Freedom Nation for beginners. So I got to remind you that we're building an entire city. We're building an entire city. And if you think for one reason that you could come into that space without contributing some level of self-sacrifice and benefit from all that it has to give, you're wrong. It's impossible. Those who sacrifice certain things today will gain 10 times more tomorrow, guaranteed. Thursday, Brother Ken is coming down there to start a power plant at Freedom Village. And we will be burning off the limbs and stuff that we cut down in our clearing process in order to charge our batteries and provide electricity to the property. We're electricity independent by Thursday. We also have now received our machinery, and we are starting to produce brick at the rate of about 4,000 to 12,000 brick a day. We're starting to sell that brick, and we're starting to use that brick, which means we no longer have a need to ask anybody for materials to build our homes, and we no longer have a need to fund by working for outside people. We actually can fund ourselves. That's $24,000 worth of brick a day that we're making at Freedom Village. The opportunity to trade sweat equity in order to be a part of Freedom Village is closing. This boot camp will be our last. We have no need for it anymore. True, one can have no self-control and one can't achieve control. That's from Kashta J. But we're closing the doors to this sweat equity concept, and we won't be accepting any more Freedom Builders after October 1st. This is absolutely your last chance to come in and be a part of the program at that level. After that, we're looking for makers, excellent individuals who've already done something great. We want to give you a home at Freedom Village. So if you're out there making amazing things, I don't care whether it's soaps, tea tree oils, whatever, this and that. If you're making essential oils or you are making gas like Kent is, if you're fixing cars, if you're making engines, whatever, we want to give you a home. We want to build a facility with you, and we want to dedicate it to you, and we want to figure out how to work this thing out so that you have a home to be surrounded by excellent people. And I want to make this last, and this is my last invitation to join the boot camp. I'm telling you to message me directly and message me with this message. I want to join the boot camp unequivocally. I want to come in October, go through 6 weeks, figure out what it means in order to build for myself, and I want to have my own space at Freedom Village and help everyone develop this common goal, group goal of being on top and in control of our space. Maurice, our pavers and bricks come in different sizes, shapes, and colors. They range from $1.20 to $2 per brick, depending on what it is. We have interlocking bricks, and we also have pavers. We have large pavers, small pavers. We have bricks for building, and we also have the interlocking bricks where you can run the rods down and create cement beams inside of the brick itself. So there's, and we are, by the way, like I said, we're the only black brick makers in the United States. I think that counts for something. But now the people who are Freedom Builders, they have sacrificed quite a bit, but now they'll be compensated directly through their own work, not by me, but because they are part of a co-op, they're part owners. They are people building their own houses. And like I said, this is the last chance. Other than that, we're going to keep on talking. But as we talk, what I'm trying to do is fish out and figure out those of you that are doing amazing projects, that are building something, not talking. If you tell me that you want to build the ultimate electrical car, then tell me you got some half shook up, wind up prototype in your garage somewhere underneath a rock somewhere. If you tell me that you're doing lotions, then send me a sample, right? Send me a sample. Where's it at? You see this? Oh, wait. I don't want to show her address. That's Yasmin Salam. She's making products. And what did Yasmin do? She sent us a sample. She said, I'm making these products. I'm in the process. I'm doing. Right? And don't let me, even for 1 second, I got to do this to grab it. Our first maker. Okay? First ones. Let's mention Marcia Owens and Rodney, because they're awesome, amazing individuals. I love them a lot. They're making bath bombs. They're making deodorant. They're sending deodorant to us saying, hey, have your guys try this out. Let's see if it works. They're using us for testing their homemade products, for reducing the dependencies in their supply chain, so forth and so on. We're looking for those types of people, y'all. From now on, after this show, I will no longer be inviting anyone to a boot camp ever again. What I will instead do is be looking for makers, and I will reach out to them, and our topics will be along that line about making amazing things. Those of us who have had the self-discipline enough to discipline ourselves to actually do something of value, I want to extend the invitation to the Freedom Village and for you to come work with us. Other than that, remember self-control. Teach self-control to your children. Focus on self-control. That is, delayed gratification is the only path to your strength and freedom. Please do not confuse fear or lack of fear of loss, meaning abundance, with having self-control. It will not have the same outcomes. That's me for today. And I was happy to talk to you guys. Deuces, peace out.